Hello everyone, my name is Roya and I'm still on vacation. But anyway, this is going to be my December wrap-up part 2. In other words, all of the books that I've read in the second half of December. I will leave a link to the December wrap-up part 1 in the description below. I decided to split up my wrap-up into 2 parts this month because I was going on vacation, which I'm on now, and I read a bunch of books before vacation and I read a bunch of books on vacation. So before I get to the books that I finished in December, I am going to tell you about a book that I'm currently reading that I'm definitely going to finish before I film my TBR when I get home. And that is Outlander by Diana Gabaldon. I am so happy I finally read this. Okay, so let me tell you a story. So I'm 27 years old, and I have seen these books on every bookstore shelf forever, for like my whole life. I do not remember a time when these books were not on shelves in like every store that sold books ever. But did I hear a damn thing about these books at all? No. Did I hear a damn thing about what they're about? No. No one I had ever told me, oh, I've read those books, they're really good, or oh, they're about this. Nothing. I literally heard nothing whatsoever about these books, ever. Until Sasha from a book Utopia talked about how Outlander is her favorite book, and she gave like a one-sentence summary, and I was like, huh, that's the first time I've heard anybody talk about those books at all. So you can imagine that I was much more interested in reading them after hearing at least one human being talk about them. So anyway, when I saw this copy for $1, I thought, okay, this is my lucky day. I get to read that book now. And holy crap, you guys. It's so good. I'm almost finished with it, but this will definitely be the first book I finished in January. And it might be on my like top books of the year list at the end of the year because it is just that good. So it is about a woman from the 1940s who goes back in time 200 years to like olden day Scotland. So it's kind of, so I believe it would be considered like a historical fantasy ish. But anyway, so I love the two main characters. They are so entertaining. And everyone in this book has lots of like witty character banter and lots of really funny dialogue. Like it doesn't matter what the situation is. It could be a very dire situation and the dialogue will still crack me up. And it has a really good action romance balance in it as well. But this book deals with it really well. Like the romance is really well done and the action is really well done, and there's enough of both of those things. Once it got to the point where she falls in love and everything, like I thought that this book was gonna pull a Clan of the Cave Bear and give us like 3-page long sex scenes in every chapter, and I was like not looking forward to that. But that didn't happen. Everything was it was done really well. It doesn't just overshadow the plot with like that. It's just um yeah, everything about this book is great. Like seriously. And I'm like 200 pages away from the end, and I am like so excited to read the rest of this. Oh my gosh, like, oh my gosh, you guys. If you've read this, you probably understand, but if you haven't read this, you have got to read this. It's really good. On to the books that I read in the second half of December, anyway. The first one that I read in the second half of December was Sharp Objects by Gillian Flynn, and this was a really good book. It was a lot better than Dark Places, which pleasantly surprised me. I definitely did not expect it to be as good as Dark Places, let alone better, because not as many people have been talking about it. Not that many people have praised it, really, that I've seen. But basically, this book is about a girl who goes back to her hometown from Chicago, which is a really small town. She's a journalist, and they just want somebody to cover some disappearances and murders of these two girls. So this book is definitely very creepy, and it's very like you really get the small town vibe in it as well. But the one gripe that I had with it was that it was very obvious to me who did it from the very beginning. And I'm sure not, I mean, it's not supposed to be obvious, and I'm sure it's not that obvious to everyone, but I just found it to be extremely obvious. I don't know. Next, I read Eve and Adam by Catherine Applegate and Michael Grant, and this book is about a girl named Eve who gets into a car accident, gets whisked away from the normal hospital and to her mother's company's like research hospital, and they start taking care of her there. And she starts discovering a bunch of things that her mother's company has done with regards to like genetic research. Yeah, okay, genetic research. And it's really interesting. I definitely did not expect as much from this book as I got. Like, I thought it was really good. Very long and it's very entertaining the whole way through. So, the main gripe that I had with it, though, was that some of the information that she finds, that she uncovers about her mother's I keep doing that. So, some of the stuff that she uncovers about her mother's genetic research, there, I said it, is not fully explained. It just says that she finds photos of like a green pig and all this like more disturbing stuff. Didn't really say why she and her friends felt the need to go to the government with that. It just didn't make a whole lot of sense. But it was still a very good book, and I really liked reading it. And next, I read Fingersmith, which is a doozy of a book to summarize, but here we go. So, it is about a girl named Sue, and she has been raised by thieves. And this one con man that she knows comes up to her and says, okay, a girl named Maud, and she will inherit all this money, but only if she gets married. So my plan is to go and get her to marry me, and then get the money, and then put her in a madhouse so I don't have to deal with her shit. And so then he basically tells Sue that he wants her to be this girl's maid, and so that she can help like persuade the girl to marry him, and then she gets a cut of the money in return. So Sue goes along with this. She says, okay, but she questions her morals, I guess, and how easy it'll be to betray this girl. So this book is full of twists. It's really good. The first third of the book is told from Sue's point of view. The second third of the book is told from Maud's point of view. And then the third third of the book, the third third of the book is told from Sue's point of view again. And the one thing that kind of bothered me about it is that the part where we get Maud's point of view kind of in the middle of it like rehashes a lot of the stuff that already happened that we just got from Sue's point of view. And while some of that is kind of necessary to the plot, some of it's not, and I think they could have downplayed that a little bit. But this book was really good. I really enjoyed reading it. It's a lot of fun. So now here are the books that I read for the holiday booktubeathon. So, oh look, there's a fox squirrel outside. So first I read Kabul Beauty School. This is for the challenge of read a gifted book, and this is the one book that I got for Christmas. This is a memoir of a woman who goes to Afghanistan and ends up starting a beauty school. And it's really interesting to see how she ended up there and what the importance of having beauty schools is in Afghanistan, because the beauty industry was pretty much demolished by the Taliban. She originally goes to Afghanistan to like help people and whatnot. She's the only one who's not like a doctor or something like that. And so she kind of wonders, why did they agree to send me here? I'm a hairdresser. Like, I don't know. But as soon as she introduces herself to her group as a hairdresser, everyone like stands up and starts clapping, and they say, oh, thank goodness. Please cut my hair. I want highlights, blah de blah, because there are like no salons there, and what salons were there were like full of lice and whatever else, and just didn't have the good like sanitation practices or anything like that. So basically what this woman ends up doing is like doing people's hair there and like running a beauty school there, and so many women like beauty school is like their one chance to like be the breadwinner of their family and like support their families. And then like not only that, but it's a profession that like, since only women can do women's hair there and everything. Men aren't allowed in, so their husbands can't just barge in and go like, "This is how you should be doing things, me me me." So it was a really interesting read. I've read a lot of memoirs where they kind of just bring up different people at different times, and by the time they bring the person up again, you forget who they are. But this didn't have that problem at all. Everything like flowed really well, and it was really good. The second book that I read for the holiday booktubeathon was Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn. This was for the challenge of reading a book with white on the cover and reading a follow-up to something that you read earlier this year. And this book is about a man named Nick who is married to a woman named Amy. And one day on their 5th anniversary, Amy just disappears. So of course Nick gets the blame for it. A lot of people think that Nick killed her or something. This evidence points to like Nick did it. But until halfway through the book, even though this every other chapter is from Nick's point of view and everything, you don't know if Nick did it or not. Like he never explicitly says until halfway through the book or anything. So you really start going, did he do it? Did he do it or not? Did he do it or not? I hope he didn't. I really hope he didn't. Like it's so good. Like it's so creepy. It's easy to see now that I've read all 3 of Gillian Flynn's books. It's really easy to see why this is the one getting all the hype and why this is the one that was made into a movie. And finally, the last book that I read in the second half of December is Naked Lunch by William S. Burroughs. And this book is basically about drug addictions and stuff, but it's so confusing. Like, this is the most confusing book ever. It's some parts of it are just dialogue and it feels like you're reading a play, kind of, and other parts you kind of feel like you're reading an article. But at the same time, it's not really a story and it's not fully just an informative thing either. Not very much context is given to any of the stuff going on. So when it like suddenly the next scene they're in a totally different place, like it takes place in a totally different place, you're given like no context or anything and it makes no sense. So this is like a book that if you want to read it, you'd better be sitting at a desk and like, I don't know, with like a pen and underlining all this stuff and putting post-it notes and all this stuff because it's confusing. There are also a lot of parts that are kind of disturbing in like a weird way. And I'm not talking like normal kind of like people dying disturbing or anything like that. I'm talking like people having sex while they're like being hung and all this crap and like dying. But yeah, so I was really grossed out by some of this stuff in this, and I'm not the kind of person who gets grossed out by every little thing at all. Like I don't know, I guess I was expecting something a bit cleverer or just I don't know, at least more coherent than what I got. Because a lot of people love the crap out of this book, and I'm kind of bummed out that I didn't. Anyway, these are the books that I read in the second half of December, plus Outlander, which I read in the beginning of January, but since I'm going home on Thursday and I'm going to finish this beforehand, there's not really much of a point in putting it in my January wrap up or anything. Just know that it's amazing. Anyway, so let me know what you read in December. I'll see you on Thursday with my January TBR. Bye!